don't think you guys understand the magnitude and the significance of what we just witnessed in round 2 of the EFL Cup. I am making a match review after a round 2 game in the EFL Cup. I'm making a match review talking about Grimsby Town, a team that I only know of because of that movie with Sacha Baron Cohen, The Brothers Grimsby. That's the only reason I know that Grimsby Town is a real team. They play in League 2. They're in the 4th division of English football. They just knocked out Manchester United in the EFL Cup round 2 on penalties. And by the way, they were up 2-0 at one point in this game and they gave up the lead in the second half. But they were actually really good in this game. It wasn't like a fluky 2-0. They were actually good in this game. I cannot believe what I'm watching. We are watching one of the greatest and most prestigious clubs in the history of football collapse in real time. And people might say the EFL Cup is not that big of a deal. Bro, it's one of the only trophies they had a chance to win this season is the EFL Cup. If you look at the future for United this season, what trophy do they realistically have a chance of winning? They're not in Europe, so they can't win a European trophy. They're not going to win the Prem, and they're probably not going to win the FA Cup. We just watched them get knocked out by Grimsby Town, bro. I cannot believe it. Ruben Amorim, I've defended him. I think that Man United need to stick to a manager and stick to a plan. But oh my God, if you don't sack him after this, I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe he's probably smoking a joint because he's high if he doesn't fire Ruben Amorim after this. Losing to Arsenal in the first match week, even though you played great, is acceptable. Not great, you played well, is acceptable. Drawing against Fulham, it was a bad game for United, but still, you drew against Fulham, that's okay. You know, it's the start of the season, maybe players are rusty, and you know, the new players that he signed, they need some time to get accustomed to a system. That's fine. Getting knocked out by Grimsby Town in round 2 of the EFL Cup. I'm going to repeat myself one more time in case you guys didn't hear me the first time. Grimsby Town are in the 4th division of English football. That is embarrassing, bro. That is something that, like I said, we were watching a football giant collapse in real time, right before our eyes. We were watching another AC Milan. A team that has so much history, so many legendary players. The greatest club in the history of the Premier League is Manchester United. They have the greatest manager in the history of the Prem. They have the greatest player in Prem history in Ronaldo. And now, fast forward, what, 15 years later or 12 years later after Fergie left, and they're getting knocked out by Grimsby Town. And they're down 2-0 in the first half. And they were getting outplayed in that game for a large part of it. And they needed Mbeumo and fucking Harry Maguire, who's become their hero these past few months. I mean, going back to the Europa League in the semifinal against Lyon, or the quarterfinal, sorry, against Lyon, it seems like Harry Maguire always comes up with a clutch goal. I cannot believe what I'm watching, bro. I'm making, guys, again, I mostly talk about Barca and Spanish football. I'm making a match review after a round 2 match in the EFL Cup because Manchester United just got knocked out by Grimsby Town. Kobbie Mainoo, who, you know, there's been talks about him possibly leaving or staying at Man United. You know, Amorim doesn't really play him that much, and Kobbie Mainoo is frustrated because, you know, he has so much potential and he wants to get more playing time, but it seems like Amorim doesn't really see how he fits in the system. He got the start today. I actually thought, you know, he didn't look so bad, but still, man, he got the full 90 minutes. But, you know, we're seeing guys like Andre Onana. I mean, some of the penalties he was letting in. The 11th penalty, I think his name was Burns from Grimsby, he took it. He got 2 hands on it and he still let it go to the back of the net. What the fuck happened to Andre Onana, bro? What happened to this guy? I'm watching a guy who was a starting goalkeeper for a UCL finalist literally in 2023, 2 years ago, and who was great in that whole UCL run. I'm watching him be currently one of the worst keepers in England, and that's a fact. He's terrible, bro. So his shot stopping is non-existent. At one point in the first half, I checked FootMob. He had a 4.8 rating. And granted, FootMob ratings aren't everything, but for goalkeepers, they're pretty accurate. Because goalkeepers, I mean, like there's only, like, are you saving the ball or you're not saving the ball? And it seems like he wasn't saving the ball. It doesn't seem like I was watching the game, he wasn't saving the ball. Like Andre Onana is really a huge issue for this team. This team needs to get the goalkeeper position sorted out ASAP. Because like I said, some of the penalties he was letting in, it was fucking pathetic. It's sad to watch. And for a club that, you know, like Man United, who has so much history and so much prestige, like I said, to see them fall this far, I mean, finishing 17th or 15th, where did they finish last year, and losing the Europa League final to Spurs in the manner that they played that final, that's one thing. You finish 15th, you lose to Spurs, okay, 15th and you lose to Spurs, okay, it's really bad, but, you know, it's Amorim's first year, he took over mid-season, we'll see what he can do the next year. And then the next year, literally 2 weeks into the season, you're losing to Grimsby Town on penalties in the EFL Cup round 2, a team that, again, plays in the 4th division in League 2 of English football. I don't know where Man United go from here. Honestly, I see a guy in Ruben Amorim who's too stuck in his ways and who has a system that doesn't really suit his best players. And the one thing you have to do as a manager is not be so stubborn and pragmatic. You have to learn to adapt. And you have to learn to adapt your system to the players that you have at your disposal. Hansi Flick did that at Barca. Hansi Flick came in and he used the players at his disposal, and he created a system that suited them. And that's why Barca plays so well. All the best managers analyze their personnel and they form a system that suits that personnel. And Ruben Amorim has a system and he wants to play that system, and he refuses to do anything that's not like close to his system. He refuses, bro. And to me, that's being a bad coach, because your job is on the line. And it's not like you won a UCL at Sporting and won a treble, okay? You did good at Sporting. You brought back a sleeping giant in Portugal. It's Portugal, my man. This is England. You cannot, just because you won in Sporting, it does not mean that you're going to win in England with that same system, because obviously it's not working and your players are not working in the system. They're simply not working. I'm watching Benjamin Sesko, who's one of the most sought after strikers in the transfer window this year and for the past couple of years, be nothing in his first 3 games in United. In his first 3 games, he's an absolutely fuck all. To be quite frank, everybody was clowning Gyökeres after his first match for Arsenal because he didn't do anything, and then Sesko in his second game scores a brace. Or I keep saying Sesko, Gyökeres in his second game scores a brace, and that first goal was beautiful, by the way. So it's clearly, look, I've always been a believer that Man United is where careers and managers go to die, because we've seen plenty of examples of that in the past. I'm not making that up. Paul Pogba, a Carrington project, okay? He obviously went through Carrington. He left and then he went to Juve. At Juventus looked simply like one of the best midfielders on the planet. Prime Paul Pogba is one of the best players, fuck midfielders, one of the best players I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes, ever. He was simply ridiculous. I'm not talking about on his day. Paul Pogba, in his prime, every single game, whether it was the UCL or the Coppa Italia or the Serie A, he was dropping a masterclass. He was that good. And I see him go to United and be not shit, because he wasn't that bad in United, but he was not the player that we saw at Juventus, not even close to that. Anthony Martial went to United. Everybody was touting him as the next Henry. And what happened to Anthony Martial? Anthony was at Ajax. He was great under Erik ten Hag at Ajax. He was really, really good. One of the most promising wingers in Europe. And he goes to Man United and he sucks. He's terrible. And then he goes to Betis on loan and he looks good. So it seems like there's a common denominator here when it comes to managers and players. They all seem to not succeed when they go to Man United. I understand that, okay? I see it. But Ruben Amorim losing to Grimsby Town, that's not Man United, bro. I'm sorry. That's not the aura at Old Trafford. That's not the players. That's not your system. It is. You're just a bad coach. You are just a bad coach if you're losing to Grimsby Town. And I'm not a United fan, but I'd be pissed if I was a United fan right now. I'd be so fucking mad, because that is simply unacceptable. Performance like that is unacceptable. Being down 2-0 against Grimsby Town is unacceptable. You cannot allow it to happen. If Sir Jim Ratcliffe has any cojones about him, if he has any cojones, he would fire Amorim right now. He wouldn't even let him get back on the plane to Manchester from Grimsby, because he does not deserve to board that plane, because he does not deserve to coach one more day at that club, because losing to Grimsby Town, like I said, you played well against Arsenal. Everybody was talking about, oh, United played well, the system might be working. Oh, the United fans were so excited after that first game against Arsenal, even though, by the way, they lost at home. They lost at home to Arsenal in the first game, but still, it's looking good. And then you go to Fulham away, and it doesn't look very good. You know, you don't play. It wasn't pretty. Let's be honest. You're up 1-0 in that game, and then and the only goal was a own goal, and then they draw, and they equalize, and then you draw 1-1. And Fulham, to me, especially in that second half, looked like a better team. Like I said in the beginning, that's fine. You know, like you're figuring stuff out. And Bueno needs to get a little bit better. Cunha looked good, but he needs to get maybe a little bit better. Sesko, maybe like you start him some games. Maybe Mainu gets to start in the Premier League. You figure something out. It's fine. You like if you're a fan, you're pissed, but you have patience. Like you're maybe like, oh, we'll wait and see. Not after this. Any fan that had patience with Amorim after this, it has to be gone. After this loss to Grimsby Town, it has to be gone. Like I said, guys, I don't talk about English football that much on this channel, even though I'm going to start talking about it, but I'm seeing a football giant collapse, literally become irrelevant in real time. And Man United will never be totally irrelevant like Milan are, because Milan, first of all, they play in Serie A, which is a much less popular league than the Prem, and they're not as popular worldwide, in my opinion, as Man United. I mean, Man United are a global. I mean, so is Milan, but Man United are a team that they have a huge fan base, a massive fan base. So they're never going to be completely irrelevant. They're always going to be in the news, and people are always going to talk about Man United because, again, they're that big of a club. But we are watching a team that might not even fit. I said United have to. I said they have to finish in the top 5 this season for them to actually for them to have some optimism about the club and the project going forward. I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe this loss, if Amorim stays, it wakes them up and it makes them realize that this system is clearly not working, because if it doesn't work against Grimsby Town, who again play in League 2, it's not going to work against many other teams that are actual Premier League teams or teams, like I was going to say in Europe, you're not playing Europe anyway, so it's the only trophy they had a chance to win. A realistic chance to win is the EFL Cup. It's the easiest trophy you compete for all year if you play in English football. You're watching Grimsby Town knock you on. You're watching Andre Onana literally let the ball go through his fucking hands. We thought Binder was bad. This guy might be fucking worse up, but they probably have the worst goalkeeper situation in all of England. They really do. But yeah, I had to come on here and make a video. I didn't have that much, I didn't work today because I didn't have much work to do, honestly. It's been kind of quiet for me, which is good for you guys and good for me because I get to make more videos, but also bad for my pocket. But anyway, I'm not complaining, you know what I mean? I'm blessed, so I'm here. So I'm going to take advantage. I was like, I'm going to sit here, watch the game. If United win, I won't make a video about it because nobody, it should be a formality that they win, but if they lose, I have something to talk about. And I was watching this game and I was like, holy shit, are they actually going to lose? And then Maguire scored, first of all, Mbeumo scored that goal and then Maguire scored that goal, and I was like, okay, they're not going to lose. They're going to win it on penalties. And then I watched Cunha miss the pen, and then it's going to penalty 10 and 11. And then Mbeumo steps up, and I feel bad for the guy, man, honestly. He hits it off the crossbar, which is, it's got to hurt. He scored the goal to obviously make it 2-1 and spark the comeback. But really, really, we're watching, like I said, I'm going to say it one more time before I end off this video. We're watching a football giant collapse and fall apart in real time. And if you're a rival fan of Man United, you got to hate that. You got to love that. But if you're a football fan, which I am, it sucks to see. I watched this same club play against Barcelona, the team that I support, in 2 UCL finals. And I watched Sir Alex Ferguson sit on the bench, chewing his gum, and I watched Rio Ferdinand and Michael Carrick and Paul Scholes and Ryan Giggs and Wayne Rooney, and for one of those finals, Cristiano Ronaldo and Patrice Evra and Van der Sar, and I watched them take the pitch in a UCL final in Rome and then in Wembley. And like I said, fast forward 13 years later, from playing in UCL finals and winning a Europa League under Jose, even more recently, 8 years ago in 2017. And now you fast forward a couple years later, damn near a decade later, and they're losing to Grimsby Town in round 2 of the EFL Cup, and Ruben Amorim should be getting the boot literally today. That's my thoughts on the game. That's my thoughts on Manchester United currently. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section down below. What do you think of the game if you watched it? If you didn't watch it, just let me know what you think about Man United's situation currently. I'd love to hear it. And yeah, I love every single one of you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace out.